NASCAR's biggest what-if race team, Team Ireland. NASCAR has become a sport that welcomes competitors from all walks of racing across the world. This was not necessarily always the case in NASCAR history. Now, we have always had some foreign drivers from other countries and other series come try their hand at NASCAR over the years. Now, by the 1990s, NASCAR had continued to grow, so much that by the start of the 90s, Martin Byron, an Irish businessman and former race car driver, decided to enter the NASCAR Cup Series in 1991, making his team's debut in the Miller Genuine Draft 500 at Pocono, with IndyCar driver John Paul behind the wheel of a number 53 Chevrolet, finishing 32nd in their first start as a team. Paul would make two more attempts, DNQing at Michigan in the summer, though qualifying for the Watkins Glen race in the summer, finishing a halfway decent 16th. John Paul had a difficult time making the transition from the much lighter open-wheel IndyCar to the significantly heavier NASCAR Cup Series stock car. By the end of the 91 Cup Series season, Byron had put Bobby Hillin Jr. behind the wheel of his number 53 Longhorn Stakes Chevrolet, attempting 3 out of the final 4 races of the season, qualifying twice, with a best start of 21st at Atlanta in the fall, and a best finish of 18th at Charlotte in the fall, proving that the team could run at least a competitive level with an experienced driver behind the wheel. In the off-season, Hillin went to Byron and asked him how serious he was about this whole race team and what his plans were. And Byron, among other things, asked Hillin, "How can we run more competitive?" Hillin connected him with Richard Childress to begin purchasing both engines and race cars off of him. That following season, in 1992, Team Ireland returned to the NASCAR Cup Series, making select starts in their newly renumbered number 31 Chevrolet. Bobby Hillin Jr. returned to the team for the 1992 Cup Series season. Tony Price began the season serving as Hillin's crew chief, before getting replaced by Doug Hewitt for the remaining starts that the team would ever make. Hillin's best start was 5th in Michigan in the summer, and his best finish was 13th at Charlotte in the spring. Overall, in 10 starts, Hillin scored 1 top 15 and 3 top 20s, making their final of 14 NASCAR Cup Series starts in total on October 11, 1992, at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Mellow Yellow 500. Now, the reason that Byron made the decision to leave the sport was a bit of a two-pronged reason. Like it always has since at least the beginning of the late 60s, prices began rising somewhat at first, and then significantly as the 1970s would draw to a close. By the 1980s, if you intended to run competitively, one's team must have sponsorship, and the more the better. Especially, this was the case for a brand new race team, unable to secure sponsorship following 10 starts in 1992. Another deciding factor in Byron closing down his race team was the fact that NASCAR had penalized the team for using, quote, illegal cylinder heads at the fall Charlotte race, a race where Hillin finished 8th before the disqualification, levying a substantial fine for a money-strapped team owner who was leasing his engines from Richard Childress. At the time, engine builders were using a multitude of different cylinder heads. The smaller the cylinder head, the more compression and horsepower, equaling more speed. Now, Byron was so upset and did not feel he was responsible for the fine levied on his team due to the fact it was a Childress-built engine, and he himself had no knowledge that his team was breaking any rules at all. NASCAR would eventually put an end to this mess by mandating each manufacturer have a standard-sized cylinder head, therefore eliminating the vast majority of the problem. Byron refused to pay the fine and left the sport immediately, taking his race car back to his home country of Ireland with him to run on a personal racetrack that he built on his own property. In 14 Cup Series starts, they scored 3 top 15s and 6 top 20s. Though, look at the people and the equipment involved. Byron was getting his team's equipment from the best team in NASCAR at the time, Richard Childress Racing. Doug Hewitt was more than a serviceable leader of a team as a team's crew chief. Bobby Hillin had something to prove after being let go by the Stavola brothers following the 1990 NASCAR Cup Series season, especially considering Hillin showed marked improvement in 1990. All these factors, plus Martin Byran was a former race car driver himself and an avid race fan, so he was dedicated to the team's success as well. As solid as the team was running, at times, I believe sponsorship would have come. The final nail in the coffin was NASCAR and their inability to be consistent as far as rule infractions, and who they would come down on at the time. Over time, NASCAR has definitely improved their inspections and fairness across the board, regardless of the team who breaks the rules. Today, if you break the rules, you are penalized. But at the time, it was more of a as NASCAR felt necessary kind of thing. Team Ireland could have grown into a solid, competitive race team, though we will never know. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.